Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Being Human Now show. I'm your host, Jennifer Locksmith, and today our guest is Eryn DeFoort. Eryn DeFoort is living proof that the universe is a friendly, loving, abundant, magical, safe place, and that there is a divine bigger picture at play at all times for all of us. She is one of those fascinating people that has managed to live many lives in one. Eryn is a mom, a journalist, and a life coach. She has also studied spirituality, quantum physics, and shamanism. During the recent dark times of the COVID vaccine mandates, Eryn was a legal advocate for medical freedom and sovereignty. Lastly, and most importantly, for our show today, she is a channeler. For the last 5 years, Eryn has been channeling and working with the Ascended Master King Solomon. Solomon has told Eryn that her purpose is to break free from the lower frequency of the false matrix to create life in a 5D new earth. She is sharing what she has learned from him on her YouTube channel, Solomon's Sister. So I suppose we can add way shower to her many roles in this life as well. Eryn DeFoort, welcome to the Being Human Now show. Thank you for all you and Solomon are doing to lead us into the true divine matrix. We appreciate you.
Oh my God, Jen, you're going to make me cry.
You're gonna make me cry. This is awesome.
I have never heard anybody summarize my life like that in such a way. I was just like, oh, wow.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Thank you. You're a
Yeah.
beautiful writer, too. You're a beautiful writer.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That means a lot coming from you because you're a writer too.
No,
So thank you.
wow. Wow.
So,
Thank you for having me, by the way. Thank you. I appreciate
yes.
it.
Thank you
And
for
thank
being
you to
here.
Sam for referring me to you.
Yeah, Sam Chandler was like, "You need to interview Aaron DeFort." I'm like, "Yes," and I watched your recent interview with Solomon's. What's oh my goodness, no, your channeling of what is it? The things we need
The
to forget
last
about.
one I did.
Yes,
Oh,
it's
oh,
blanking.
Solomon calls bullshit on,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
awesome. And I was like, "Yes, I have to get her on." So thank you for being here. This is going to be a treat. So,
Yeah.
um, so first things first. So I'm interviewing you, but I feel like we also have, Solomon's going to be coming through because you
Mhm.
channeled ahead of time for us. We've
Right.
got some wonderful things to share about the open heart and creation.
Mhm.
But before we dive into that, I think the audience might want to know just a little bit more about Solomon, Eryn. Who is Solomon, this ascended master you've been working with these past 5 years?
Thank you. Well, anybody who grew up in the Christian tradition is probably going to have remembered that we have heard this character in the Bible named King Solomon, and he was the son of King David. And Solomon was the last king of the United Tribes.
Mm-hmm.
And he's known among the Islamic people, the Jewish people, and the Christian people as colloquially as being like what they considered back then the wisest man in the world. And since then, he's become venerated as this ascended master. When you go into Islamic, like look it up on Wikipedia, that sort of
Yeah.
thing, you see that he was seen as this mystic at the time, and hundreds of years later after he lived. And he was also my favorite character in the Bible when I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't even think about him, after I grew up and I left this fundamentalist church, this very Christian cult that I had been a part of. I left when I was 18 and I just didn't really think about Solomon again. And then he just sort of magically showed up in my life later in 2021.
Yeah. Yeah, and this was during kind of the whole COVID thing he came through,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
Um, would you like to talk a little bit about your first interaction with him, or would you just like to dive into the open heart or talking about open heart?
Well, I know my friends and a lot of people wonder because it sort of came out of left field for me. It wasn't like I interviewed and worked with a lot of channelers. I used to do QHHT and I would put people into deep states of hypnosis and past life regression, and they would channel spontaneously. But I've never attempted to do it myself. And so this is, I know a lot of people are like, I didn't know this about you, Eryn. How did you do this? And it really is surprisingly easy how I came across it. It just took some sort of practice in the background. And I was going to show that, how it started for me was I have to give credit where credit is due. There's this woman online who created this little tool called Talk. It stands for the Universal Art of Knowing. And I think her husband just took what, like with woodworking, I don't know, you can't see this, but
I
it's
could see it.
you
Yeah.
can. Okay. Like it's a circle that you can engrave, turn into a pie chart with
Hmm.
26 pieces to the pie and
Yeah.
put a letter on each one. And then I use a pendulum. And I started doing this in 2021 to just use biofeedback to maybe like test for supplements. I was going through, food sensitivities and things like that. And I was testing using the biomagnetic field around my heart and my body. Like, is this supplement better for me? Is this supplement better for me? And I was using it like that because you can put the pendulum over the pie chart and it'll swing. You program it to
Uh-huh.
swing for yes, for no, and it'll spell out letters. And the question for people who are wondering, well, are you doing that or where is that coming from?
Hmm.
It's a practice that was the first thing to introduce me to the concept of the open heart. In order to facilitate it, you have to get very calm inside your body so that your brain isn't involved. And you drop your attention into the center of your body, and you hold the pendulum over the circle, and then you decide, do I want to speak to my higher self and my higher wisdom? Or this is where things get really woo woo.
Yeah.
You can open it up and you can see if you can speak to, the higher self of someone who's passed. All
Hmm.
of this is possible, and we don't need to go down that road because that can be sometimes a controversial or scary road for some people.
Hmm.
But I was just speaking with my own higher self, my own connection to the divine, and asking for guidance and wisdom through things I was going through. And I was practicing this for years. And then in 2021, one day, something came through that I could distinctly tell was not me. It was not
Hmm.
my own higher self because he identified himself. This is Solomon.
Wow.
And I was just blown away. And it
Yeah.
started this really cool relationship that we just spoke with each other for years, just on a personal level. He just assisted me to move through almost like a curriculum of sorts to get deprogrammed from what you and I have talked about, what we call the false matrix.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, this darker cabal's manipulation of human society to enslave us in this control matrix, right? So
Yes.
he was sort of deprogramming me from the programming so that I would be open to this other way of creating my day, creating my reality
Yeah.
that was so different from how we had been programmed.
Hmm.
And about a year ago, he was like, okay, Eryn, now it's time to go public and start to share this with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, thank goodness you did.
it's been
Um,
fun.
yeah, it has been fun and I've learned a lot. I've been binge watching your videos.
Well, there's
And
only a
it's,
few out there. I appreciate that.
yeah.
It's just starting. It's a very new channel for me. Yeah.
Yes. So yes, guys, Solomon's Sister on YouTube. Check it out. What made you choose that title real quick, by the way? I mean, it might not be a quick explanation, but it just popped in my head, that question.
It is a pretty quick explanation. I asked him if we had ever known each other in that lifetime, or if I had lived in that lifetime when he was Solomon. And he's lived many other lifetimes since. He's been
Mm.
on this planet as a very regular Joe Schmo guy since he was the
Okay.
king of Israel, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Just to work out other aspects of what his soul wanted to learn.
Hmm.
Now he is not incarnated on the planet. He is an ascended master. But I asked him, have we shared any lifetimes together? Like, why me? That, of
Hmm.
course, that's going to be a question. Like, why did you come to me?
Yeah.
And he said, I was his sister at that time, but not to get your undies in a bunch. It's not like when people
Yeah.
say, oh, I was Cleopatra. It wasn't that.
Hmm.
You've got to remember back then, King David had many concubines.
Hmm.
There were David's children all over the planet, all
Yeah.
over Israel at that time. So I was
Yeah.
like a half sister from a concubine. And he said that we never even interacted. We maybe grew up together, but it wasn't like we were close.
Yeah.
But he said that intuitively we really knew each other and that we share the same oversoul. And
Hmm.
that's an important concept to understand what an oversoul is. It's a group energy, almost like a collective soul that
Hmm.
is on a much higher frequency.
Hmm.
And it's one of the ways that people start to understand that, like your soul family, when you meet people
Hmm.
on the planet where you're like, I don't know why, but these people are more family to me than my own blood family. We just get each other. And we
Yeah.
seem to be moving through our lives with almost like a similar purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know how many oversouls there are, and I don't know much more beyond that to explain it. But he said
Hmm.
we share the same oversoul. And so just identifying myself as a sister in some respect was
Yeah.
the best way I could explain it. Yeah.
No, I think it's great. That makes perfect sense. And then once you explain it, you're like, okay, that makes sense. Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah.
And would you say, I think it's interesting just in the past few years he came through, no coincidence, because I feel like a lot of people are kind of finding their soul families, stepping into these new roles,
Yeah.
and I've said time and time again on the show, it's time. I don't
Oh,
exactly know, well, I kind of know what that means. I know in my heart, but it's time. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and for me, it was really beautiful because I had made a conscious decision that I did not want to be partnered. I had been married twice, and I made this pretty conscious decision during COVID that I was like, I'm going to take some serious time off from,
Hmm.
dating and, a third marriage or anything like that. And so I've gone 11 years without a partner through being a divorced single mother. I've raised my child. And it's been a really challenging time to figure out how to keep the bills paid and parent as be a hands-on parent while also being the primary, provider in my family.
Yeah.
And there were many, many times that I was needing support from a strong masculine presence in my life. And I wasn't finding that elsewhere. And I'm also sort of like estranged from my family, and my father's passed away. I live very far away from my family. And it's all sort of part of the story is that I decided to be a lone wolf specifically to learn what I've learned. And when he came in, it provided a sense of balancing for who I am because I'm representing the feminine in this body, right? And he is the masculine, and he gives me a sense of grounding and strength and someone to turn to when I have stress in my life. And
Yeah.
it's been such a blessing when you don't have a masculine partner in the physical flesh,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it makes total sense. And he has
And
helped you
yeah,
so much, helped guide you and show you how to function in the way the divine matrix is supposed to work, right? Without fear. Um, so yeah, I wanted to, I mean, let's fearless living really is what a
yeah,
big
yeah,
theme.
yeah.
Um, and that he's taught you, and things are just working out beautifully for you. And you talk about it on your channel. I'm sure we'll get into it today, how it works.
Mhm.
But the open heart, um, what did I say? I have a quote here. Oh goodness. Oh, so that I think is this your quote or the open heart is willing to experience something new. Oh, I don't know if that's your quote or no, yeah. You've said the heart manifests faster than the mind.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
would you like
Well,
to go ahead?
sure, that's a good lead in for another question you asked me when we spoke earlier about what is the false matrix. And
Mm,
I feel like it's important for people who are new to this concept or new to your channel to understand why we use that term,
yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Because if you're coming at ascension or you're waking up due to what's going on in the political world, you'll hear the same thing being called the cabal, the dark cabal, the deep state, etc.,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And what I'd like, your viewers to consider, which I'm sure they already do,
Hmm.
is to see all the people who are running the political states that are of the world, to understand that they're just puppets. And the puppet masters behind that are not necessarily people that we can see or name.
Yeah.
And there's a darker force, from a Christian perspective, people would just call it Satan or evil. If you're not coming from that religious context, there's something, someone, a group of someones we don't necessarily know. I think I've got a pretty good idea just from how far I've studied back.
Hmm.
But there is this cabal of beings, whether they're human or not, that's a whole nother story,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Who their intention was to enslave humanity.
Hmm.
And so I just, for lack of a better word, I call them the false matrix. So do a lot of other channelers on YouTube. And they they something that's important to understand is the tricks of their trade. And the greatest way that you can control a group of people is to always mix truth with falsehood, mix truth with lies, so that you give people enough of the truth that what you're telling them seems believable because it plays out in experience.
Yeah.
But then you manipulate it so that it's always falling short from making life too easy.
Mm-hmm.
It also mixed truth with lies so that people can be easily controlled and manipulated.
Yeah.
So, an example would be when we were talking about the law of attraction.
Yeah.
The law of attraction and the big movie that came out that spurred a lot of like books and life coaches and whatnot who went the direction of trying to teach manifestation through the law of attraction. And I was one of them. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. A large percentage of that information is true. But if it were completely true, we wouldn't all still be going to work.
Yeah,
you
right.
know?
And we're talking about The Secret, correct?
Yeah, we're talking about The
The
Secret, the movie
Secret,
The
yeah.
Secret, the
And it
book
was a
that came
book, I
out.
think, too. Yeah.
Yep, there was a book. And it was very slick, and there was money, and there was a budget, and there was a movie, and there was a book, and there was a logo, and there was a website. And I remember feeling really suspect about that when it came out, and it like triggered this whole movement where humans
Right.
were now coming to understand what is the law of attraction.
Hmm.
And I remember going, there's something not right about this.
Yeah. Why are they giving this to us on a silver platter? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Why are they letting us know? If this is really the truth, why are they letting us know? Well, if it really worked as well as they say it works, where you just, the method of the law of attraction through The Secret that we were originally told was, if you really want something to manifest in your life, you have to use your mental capacities, right? That's the first trick that this isn't completely balanced. If you use your mental capacities, you have to think about what you want, and then you have to visualize it and engage your imagination. And we were always told, oh, imagination is a right brained thing. So that's where we bring in the feminine and we're balancing the masculine and feminine. But that's not true. Your imagination is still a brain thing. It's not a heart thing, it's a brain thing. So you're still using the brain,
Hmm.
which is the masculine energy node, which we can talk about later. So you're using the brain to visualize something that you really, really want.
Hmm.
And and then The Secret was saying, oh, create vision boards and journal about it and draw about it, and the more
Yeah.
emotion you put into it, the more markers you use on your vision board or
Yep.
whatever, like
Yep.
the more potent it's supposed to be. And then then it wasn't really working so well for people. They were like, oh, well, that's because you're doing it wrong. You're
Yeah.
supposed to
It's
sit
your
in
fault.
meditation. Yeah, it's your fault. You're supposed to sit in meditation, and you're supposed to like visualize, and then you're supposed to sum up the emotion of what it would be like to have that 12-bedroom mansion or that Lamborghini, and they were really pushing material things.
Hmm.
And I'm like,
Yep.
okay, this is still weird. Like, I don't know that this is the way God meant for us to create.
Hmm.
And so it did work to some degree, but a lot of people would say it worked a few times and then it just didn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that, because it's not using the other half of our creative faculties, which is what Solomon calls the open heart. And then so I needed to kind of set the stage with like, well, what is the false matrix?
Yes. Yeah.
Before I could explain why Solomon came to me and was like, okay, I want to set you straight, and then I want you to get the information out there and help other people deprogram from what this cabal has taught you.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. And it's working for you. And I love it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is starting to work for me. Yeah. Um, go ahead. Tell me if you've got a question, or else I'll just launch into the
Yeah.
notes that I wrote about this.
Yeah. So just to give people a background, so you had a discussion, a channeling session with Solomon. It's Monday today. What's the 12th? So this past weekend
Last
you did
night.
last
Yeah, it was
night.
still late last night. Yeah.
Yeah. And so a lot of new stuff came through that he wants to tell us, and I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you just want to launch in, and I
Sure.
will interrupt and ask questions as needed to clarify. But
Sure.
I'm gonna hand the microphone over to you and Solomon.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, well, let's see, where did I start? I need to give, I thought what I would do is I would give a very abridged version of this sort of like 2-year curriculum that he took me through.
Okay.
And if people are wanting to dive further into it, they can go into my other videos.
Yes.
But he didn't introduce the concept of the open heart or this sort of missing link to the manifestation process.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't introduce it until there were two things I needed to get deprogrammed about. The way the false matrix just like pounds into us time, linear time, and how our society has been basically built around that ticking clock.
Yep.
So he had to have me deconstruct time in through an experience of seeing that the 4D awareness of time was malleable and changeable. It wasn't a constant like it is in the 3D. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that brings up a good foundational topic, which is the dimensions. When people talk about the ascension process and they say, oh, we're moving from 3D into 4D and 5D,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a space and it's not a place.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of BS information out there that when the new earth happens, it's
Yeah.
just going to be a new place. And that's not true. Dimension is awareness. So you can be in the 3D now, expand your awareness, and then experience 4D, 5D, 6D, all while being in the same place. And an example of this is take a hit of pot, and suddenly there's no sense of time,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's a very quick and rather cheating way to move into the 4th and 5D
Yes.
awareness, but without any consciousness with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. I've done that and it scared the heck out of me. But yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was what Solomon had to get me introduced to at first was he wanted me able to walk through my normal day at work, parenting, doing the dishes, being able to experience this malleable, changeable aspect of time. When you're in the 3D, it's just tick, 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 tick clock, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you bring your other senses online and you expand your awareness, time can move very differently.
Mm-hmm. So it's
And
alignment, would you say?
yes,
Alignment.
very good. Yeah. And
Yay.
how do you get aligned is it's again so simple. You just drop into the present moment. You know, you breathe, you drop in, you start becoming more aware of your surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm washing the dish. Oh, I'm driving and I'm expanding my awareness out to this beautiful scene I'm seeing alongside me. I'm
Mm-hmm.
listening to my breath. It is really as simple as that. You drop your awareness into the present moment and then you're in the eternal now. There is no time.
Mm-hmm.
And, I could do a whole show on how that changed my life, but um, it was here. Let me find my notes.
Yeah.
It helped me understand one of the key conditionings that the false matrix has us do is this very obsessive idea that we must always be mitigating risk by planning for the future. And I was talking to you about how I'm in a position right now where I've had a contract job and it's about to end any week now. I don't really know. When the job is done, it's done.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no clue what I'm going to be doing for work after that. And I
Mm-hmm.
work for myself, so it's not like I'm going to get an assignment from a boss. I have no clue what my job is. And I don't even have any really idea of when this contract work is going to end.
Yeah.
And as a career coach for 20 years, I was taught that this is the stupidest thing that anybody should do. This
Yeah.
is me being a total loafer, that I'm just sitting here knowing that my job's going to come to an end and I have no idea how I'm going to pay the bills after that. And it's not like I've got tons of money in the bank and I can just skate for a while.
Yeah.
But that is how far Solomon has brought me through this process, that I know what comes next will just evolve. The doors of opportunity will just show themselves once this other job is done. But I'm not to obsess over what it will be until
Mm-hmm.
this job is done. I need to stay in the present moment and
Yeah.
stay present with what I'm currently doing. Don't spend a ridiculous amount of time, job hunting or putting out resumes or networking and all the things that I taught other people to do when I was a career coach. I
Yeah.
don't actually need to do that in this scenario because
Mm-hmm.
I've set things up where I can notice and be observant to when someone calls and says, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing such and such?" And I'll go, "Oh, it feels really good."
Yeah.
And that's
See,
exactly what
that's the
happened to me.
language, right? Sorry. That's the
Yeah.
language of the future is being observant and symbolism and things like that, correct? Synchronicities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Following synchronicities,
Mm-hmm.
sensing when an experience lights up for you or when it makes your body feel contracted,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And just trusting that the universe has your back.
Yeah.
And, an example is the family that I'm kind of like an executive assistant for a family that has a tremendous amount of money. And they just surprised me yesterday and hand me this big check as a thank you for like, oh, you've been so invaluable and we forgot to give you a Christmas bonus and here, have some money. And it was totally unexpected. And they just handed it to me yesterday and I was like, wow. Well, there's another way that I'm being provided for in the interim while the next job shows up, you know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything
Yeah.
I asked for, expected, or planned. It was just beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is where the whole time thing.
Mm-hmm. Kind of reminds me of how you talk about community too. I don't want to take us off on
Yeah,
another tangent, but community is part of
yeah,
this as well. Yeah.
yeah. How can you be provided for except within community? You
Mm-hmm.
can't be provided for inside of a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
That is how your wealth and your safety and your security is brought to you, is through your security or through
Yeah.
your community. So we can talk about that later. But
Yeah.
the the masculine aspect of creation, which the false matrix just pounds on, is the active or directive principle, which translates into work hard. It translates into the American dream, right? You can achieve anything you want as long as you work hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very active principle. And it also has to involve the brain. Well, the
Mm-hmm.
feminine side of the creative process, which is what Solomon started to teach me later, is the receptive aspect of this. This is not anything the
Mm-hmm.
false matrix has taught us at all. It's it's the gestating aspect. It's surrendering, it's allowing, and it comes from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And when, geophysicists figured out, astrophysicists, I don't know which physicists figured it out, measured that the electromagnetic field around the human body heart space is 100 times stronger than what comes out of the brain.
Yeah.
That was a little clue
Yeah.
that,
Big time.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that maybe just using the brain to think and imagine our creations is 1/100th as powerful as this process that comes from the heart, right?
Yes.
So when Solomon first wanted to teach me about the open heart, he had to get me on board with a concept that I've talked about in my videos called great wealth.
Mm.
And the reason why is because I was always asking, hey, I'm stressed about money. I need to pay bills. How can I make more money? I was always coming to him with these questions.
Mm-hmm.
And he was getting kind of irritated with me. And he's like, okay, here's what you need to learn and here's what you need to teach other people. In your current society, money is the tool that you think brings you the life you want. But what if you could have the life you want and you cut the money out as the middleman? So, what is it that everybody says they want more money to have? And for most of us, it boils down to sovereignty, right? If only we had more money, we'd have more time. Well, what would you do with your time? Oh, we would get up in the morning and we decide how we want to run our days. We wouldn't have our employer run our day for us,
Yeah.
right? We wouldn't have other people telling us what to do. We wouldn't be confined to sitting at our desk from 8 to 5. And my big one is I don't want to be indoors when
Mm.
the sun is out. I want to have the sovereignty and the ability to go out and play outside when the sun is out, especially here in the Pacific Northwest. And
Yeah.
and so we want choices. We want to be able to go out and be in nature and live closer to the land. And it also, of course, abundance and wealth also includes, yes, maybe I want a bigger house or I want a car that works, or a nicer car. Like he taught me that having nice things is not wrong. It's just maybe not as important as what you really want, which is free will. It's the ability to run your own day the way you want to. It's health, it's community, it's family.
Nature,
It's-
getting out in nature. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like you need all of these things to be happy.
Yeah.
And I have a client right now who is deeply, deeply sick, and he's a millionaire. And I've never been so close to the reality that money cannot buy happiness, because no matter how much money he spends, he cannot buy back the life that he's losing due to his illness and his anxiety and his unhappiness.
Yeah.
And I mean, we see that everywhere now. I think that's something people are definitely waking up to, is that money does not equal happiness.
No, just not. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're doing it wrong.
we are.
Or
We're
we've been
doing it
taught
wrong.
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, we have been taught wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then he made me notice, what is it that you really want? And for 2 years, we worked on how to expand what he called great wealth rather than money. And I can do a whole nother video on that. But
Hmm.
that's when I started to, using the tools that he taught me, I eventually got my career to a place where I was working half the hours in a day and making the same amount of money. It
Hmm.
was just a series of, like slow shifts that he walked me through.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay, so I'm still making ends meet, but I have twice as much time as I used to.
Yeah.
And then he taught me about this principle about how gratitude expands the, whether energy is in a particle or a wave or both, I don't really know. But whatever that, like subatomic unit is that we use to define creation and matter on this level, he says you can expand it through gratitude. And we think that that's sort of just an esoteric concept, but he was like, no, this is a quantum physics concept. If you're having an experience in your day that you notice, this comes back to like being present,
Yeah.
you notice that it is what is bringing you joy in
Hmm.
that moment. And if you allow yourself and your awareness to expand and you feel gratitude while you're in that experience of whatever it is you're enjoying doing. Like
Hmm.
sometimes I'm just like sitting on the couch laughing with my son over something funny, and I'll be hit with this feeling of, oh, like, oh, I'm just loving this moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you feel gratitude for it.
Hmm.
And he said, what you do is you actually expand. I'm going to use the word particles for lack of a better word. You
Hmm.
expand the particles that make up the experience of what you're doing. So, whatever are the light particles that are inside my son and the couch in the living room and me,
Hmm.
they expand when I am in an experience of gratitude. And he said, the space that gets created through the expansion
Hmm.
is what expands and turns up the volume on the experience.
Hmm.
And he said, then you end up just creating more of what it is you're grateful for. I'm like, geez, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does. Oh my
So,
goodness.
yeah, he's like, when people say just be grateful, it's like, it's not just a hokey wokey thing to say. Like, it really is on the quantum physics level. It, it makes your life better in so many ways that we just don't even understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want more of this. I want more of this. And then it just comes. Yeah.
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 Be present and be grateful for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to my notes, like, yeah, okay, understand that time is fluid and start working with it that way. Understand that, yeah, it's really nice to ask for money, but money is just one fraction of what you actually want.
Hmm.
Then he had to get me to understand that I can have a lot of what I want without money.
Hmm.
And this is one that the human brain has a really hard time working out, because we've been so programmed to think that money is the middleman for anything you need, right? Well,
Hmm.
like I live in a tiny apartment right now, and I really want a house with land. And in my mind, there's no possible way to live in a house with land if I don't first have money. And so he started with really small things for me to defrag the software, right?
Hmm.
And how it started working was back when we were doing a whole lot of that Sasquatch camping, I was
Yeah.
I was wanting a lot more camping equipment, and it was at a time that I didn't have a ton of money to like buy a whole bunch of new camping equipment because I was just getting into it. And I would put things in my shopping cart on Amazon that I wanted. And I remember one day I really wanted this propane stove. And I remember the brand, exactly what it was, the name of it. And I threw it in my Amazon cart and it was like $40 or something. And I thought, do I really need this? I couldn't decide because I already had a butane stove and I'm like, oh, Eryn, just make do with what you have. And so I throw it in my Amazon cart and I walked over here, like 50 feet this way out my door. And my neighbor is having a yard sale and the exact same stove, same brand, same make, plus a full canister of propane, right,
Oh my
is with the stove.
God.
And I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, you can have it. Give him $2.
Oh my
And
God.
so I went from spending, $40 to two
Yeah.
bucks. And that experience just kept happening over and over to the point where I realized I could just sit down, figure out what I wanted, put it in my Amazon cart, and specifically not buy it and wait a week.
Hmm.
And it would work. Like 7 out of 10 items in my Amazon cart would somehow show up in my life,
Hmm.
either just given to me or I just walk into a friend's house and go, oh, and she'd go, oh, you could have it. And I'm like, really? And it's even better than the one that I had in my Amazon
Yeah.
cart.
Yeah. And so would you say you would forget too? Like you would put it in the cart and
Yeah,
then just forget about it, right? Not think.
exactly.
Okay.
That is the whole point. And
Okay.
that's the thing that's so much different than the law of attraction. The law of attraction, as The Secret
Hmm.
said you have to put all this mental effort and emotion and
Yeah.
imagination into like constantly every day thinking about the things that you want. And you got to stare at your vision board.
Hmm.
But I was like, that doesn't seem to be working
Yeah.
because it's the stuff that I just happen to think about and then forget about that seems to be coming the most easily.
So you just trust. You just trust it's going to show up for you.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
when I realized, oh, it was the take it for granted that it's going to happen.
Hmm.
Take it for granted. Just trust, have faith. That every time, like sometimes I'd be like walking through the store, the thrift store, whatever, someone would hand me something and I would go, oh, yeah, I forgot that I wanted that. I
Yeah.
forgot that 2 weeks ago, I just fleetingly thought to myself, it would be so nice to have such and such.
Yeah.
And then I let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had these experiences too, and it's sometimes you just want to cry or laugh and you're just like, "Yep, I'm taken care of." Yeah.
I'm taken care of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So then I was going through months and months of having those sort of experiences, but I kept hitting a wall where I was like, okay, I'm always covering my nut every month. I'm always making my bills. I had my trust factor to to know I was always cared for was definitely there
Hmm.
from month to month. But I wasn't making it into the next level, which is like friends would say, hey, do you want to go on a trip to Mexico? Or and I'd be like, I don't have that kind of extra money,
Yeah.
or, like my son is 14 and pretty soon he's going to need a car. And I'd be like, oh, I got to buy my son a car. I don't have that kind of extra money. I definitely have faith that I'm moving from month to month just fine,
Hmm.
but I need big money. And
Yeah.
again, I'm coming back to the word money. So I sit down with Solomon and I'm like, okay, Solomon, please take me to the next level. And first, he had to help me understand that there was nothing wrong with my desire to have greater abundance. Because a lot of people who are on the spiritual path think that we're all supposed to be um, woefully impoverished to show our righteousness.
Yep. 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 Living in
you know?
rags with,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Money is the root of all evil, all these ways that we've been programmed to think that, the stinking, filthy rich, or we have these emotions around, oh, why don't I deserve that? Why there's so much baggage around money.
Oh yeah.
And so he did a lot of work with me on understanding that there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to have greater abundance in your life. The tweak was that I still needed to let go of thinking that there was a middleman, that what I truly, really wanted in life was what I saw on TV or what I saw my neighbors have. And for me to get super authentic about it, I kept coming back to, oh no, what I really want is sovereignty, freedom. Like what really, really brings me joy
Mm-hmm.
is the ability to be 100% in charge of my own life. And whether I'm doing that in a Honda Civic or a Lexus really doesn't have much difference on my joy factor. And so he kept coming back to, he would tell me all the time, Eryn, joy is your compass, joy is your compass. And it's not that you can't have the Lexus, but on your way to the Lexus, are you completely in alignment with your joy?
Okay.
And on my way to my to the Lexus, sometimes I would realize I didn't want the Lexus. I wanted a camper van.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah. And then it's like, oh, that would work out better. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Speaking of joy, well, now I got to ask you about this. Joy versus intuitive joy.
Okay, tell me more what you mean by that.
Oh, well, I was going to ask you what you mean because you just said, what did he say? Follow your joy. Can you
Mhm.
just elaborate a little on what that means?
It's a feeling state.
Okay.
Oftentimes, my son says when he's skiing,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "Oh, mom, I totally saw God today." And
Oh,
it was moments of times when he was on the slopes, when he was in a total flow state.
okay.
And that when you start having experiences like that, whether they're microseconds or whole minutes long,
Mm-hmm.
he says you got to like really saturate your life with those. And how you do that goes back to that gratitude is the volume button.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Just start noticing when they happen and sit with them. And then
Okay.
they get bigger and then they start to multiply in your life.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So I know we're getting to the open heart in the oh, here we are. We're in the section where I channeled for you. Do you have any other questions before I launch into this?
No, no. I'm just
Okay.
checking my notes to make sure, but I'm just gonna let you roll and we'll see where we go. Yeah.
And feel free to interrupt. Yeah,
Okay.
feel free to interrupt.
Okay.
So yesterday I asked him, I'm going to have this conversation with you. I've spent 2 years coming to this point of understanding what the open heart is, but I've only got this short time with you. So how do I explain it to your audience? And he says, the first thing you have to say is the open heart is not your heart chakra. Let's not collapse the two.
Okay.
In the past, he's often tried to help me understand something by first telling me what it's not. So he says it's not love. I mean, it involves love, but when he says when I say drop into your open heart or expand your open heart or use your open heart energy, he says it's not synonymous with love. It's not synonymous with the heart as your organ, and it's not synonymous with your heart chakra. And so I said, okay, well, what is it then?
Yeah.
And he spells out the words open energy. It is the energy of receiving. It is the energy of surrender. Okay, so then I sit with that, and I usually just have to kind of like feel into what he means because he gives me things in very short sentences, right? But every word feels like it's a whole file.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I asked, well, would you call it a state of mind? And he said, no, the open heart is more a state of being than a state of mind. And then he says, it's more feminine than it is masculine. Okay, that opens up a whole nother set of questions. Okay,
Yeah.
so he says the open heart pins. Now, I think you've heard me use this word in other videos, but pins means when he says pin, it means to energetically anchor into a specific energy or frequency.
Uh-huh.
So the visual is always, for me, is like dropping my awareness into something.
Mm-hmm.
So he says the open heart pins itself to a location on the body when you open the flow of energy from source.
Okay.
Okay. So then I was like, oh, wow. So what
Yeah.
is this? What is this open source thing? Is it like, or open heart? Is it like a ball of energy that we generate with our state of being, and then it somehow siphons source energy into our create? Then I'm like, oh God,
Yeah.
I still don't quite get it, right? And then he reminded me that in a conversation I had with him last week, he said there were nodes of energy along our body. He said not to be confused with chakras. It's not that the chakra system is wrong, but it's different. And he said there's a node of energy. I told you about this last week,
Yeah.
that centers right around where our pineal gland is. And there's a node of energy right here near our
Okay.
heart. And this is the masculine node, and this is the feminine node.
Mm-hmm.
This is the brain, the thinking, the imagination, and this is the heart.
Okay.
Okay, so now I've got locations on the body. Okay, I've got that. Then he says, the light of creation is pinned to various locations on your body. The light of creation. Okay, what's that?
Yeah.
I mean, is this
Yeah.
the source light? Okay, I'm just sitting with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I start to get really excited because now this was my mind doing this. This was not a download. I
Mm-hmm.
started seeing all the images I've ever seen in movies of, clones and humans getting like plugged into a matrix at the back of their
Yep.
head.
Yep.
Yeah, think of all the
Yes.
movies we've seen where something gets plugged into the back of your head or at the chakra points. I think there was even a
Yes.
scene like that in the Matrix. I can't remember. Lots of sci-fi movies have
Yes.
this.
Absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
And so I'm sitting here kind of getting clouded with all of those images,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm channeling for you. And he literally interrupts me and he goes, slow down, Eryn, slow down, Eryn. And he says, get pinned to earth, meaning I went up too far here and he wanted me to get grounded. And so
Okay.
I stopped. I'm like, oh, okay, okay, sorry. And I drop and I put my awareness back and I get grounded back into earth and I breathe and I open my heart. I go, okay, I'm calmed down. I'm not the Cocker Spaniel wagging his tail anymore, you know? And I told him, I said, okay, you can see that I'm imagining all these images. I said, am I on the right track here? And he goes, no, you are not seeing the image correctly. You are seeing images from movies. and and then he gives me a different one and he says, the body is swimming in a sea of light, and the light flows into your body at the energy nodes.
Okay. Now,
I'm
are there
like,
just two energy nodes or are they? No, you said they're all over the body. It's not just here and here.
that's the next question I
Okay.
asked. Very
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm like, how many nodes do we have? Right.
Yeah.
And at first I thought I heard him say infinite. And
Okay.
this is why I do the pendulum, because I can always check myself. I can
Mm-hmm.
go, did I hear you correct? And I make him respell it out. And he stops and he says, it's infinite, but that's going to freak you out. You're not going to understand that. So if it's almost like the body, the light body, the energy body
Okay.
absorbs the source light as it's swimming in the light of source, right? And then it
Mm-hmm.
moves through the dimensions all the way to the physical body, because we have the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body, the light body,
Okay.
right?
And this is not like the aura. This is something else.
Well, the aura is the
I'm asking
is
for other people. I just, it
you're
could be
right,
your,
you're
yeah.
right. The aura is your energy body that can be seen by people who with
Audience? No, no,
audience is
clear,
hearing, clairvoyance.
clear. Yes.
Clairvoyance can see that energy through other dimensions. So you're correct. That's
Okay.
what's emanating from you.
Okay. But this is different.
It's this source
Okay.
light that you're drawing in.
Okay.
Okay, other direction. Yeah,
Got it.
yeah. So then I ask him, how many nodes do we have? And he says infinite, or infinite. He says, but intuitively, light, this is source light, pins itself, anchors in to chakras. So he's kind of validating the chakra system. He's like, that source light does sort of like funnel in to the light body through the chakras.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says, but caveat here, knowing yourself means to create yourself. In his words, this is how he always says the words, knowing yourself. That's how you like become creation. He says, knowing yourself as the open heart is more than just a heart chakra experience. So we're getting back to the question of how do we create this state of being in the open heart? And he says it's not just through the heart chakra. And then he says it involves surrendering your entire being. And this is why it feels feminine. How am I doing on time?
We're good.
Oh,
It's
we're good.
1:56, but we're good. Yeah.
We're good. Yeah, I'm almost done with this part.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm like, okay, now I'm seeing myself as this energy being swimming in source light. And I want to be able to be connected to source light. So he has said it comes in through the nodes, specifically the heart, but more than the heart. You have to just be this receptive,
Like be the receiver is what
be
he's
the
told you to be the
receiver.
receiver. Yeah.
Yeah. So then in that moment, I was like, oh, kind of like forgive my crassness, but it's
It's
not
okay.
crass, it's beautiful. I go, it's like being a vagina.
That's what I was going to
Yeah.
compare it to.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Your
receiving a
whole
sperm kind of thing.
yeah, your whole being becomes the vagina, like you act energetically how a woman would if she is opening herself to a man, right? And of
Yeah.
course, men and women need to know how to feel this way energetically, right?
Yeah.
So I said to him, so it's like becoming the cosmic vagina. and, and he goes, yes, that's correct, Eryn. Okay, then the next question is, okay, well then, so what exactly is the cosmic penis? You know?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so like explain to me then if we are energetically opening ourselves up into this very, very receptive state, tell me exactly what again we're receiving and
hmm
what's coming in. Besides the idea of source light, like I really wanted to get more specific about it. And he says, it's you from your oversoul, your divine blueprint from your oversoul, this
hmm
highest frequency aspect of you comes into your open heart. Um, and it informs. And I said, please define your divine blueprint. And he said, it's the intention that your oversoul has for how your light is expressed in form. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Yeah. Like we are plugged in. Um, Obviously not in that way, like you said, but you are in line with your divine purpose and truth and your true self, your being.
And it's not just
Yeah.
it's not like God's intention for you, it's your intention for yourself,
hmm
but it's not your brain's intention for yourself.
hmm
It is your highest frequencies of self
Yeah.
intention for how you wanted to live out this life.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
you came into this world with an idea of how you wanted to express yourself as Jen.
hmm
And when you align with your divine blueprint says, okay, at this stage in your life, Jen, this is how you want this to go. Your
hmm
highest intention, this is your higher self's intention for how your day is to unfold.
Yeah.
And of course, all of us would want to be so in the state of flow, so on target that we're
Yeah.
living out our higher self's guidance and intention every minute of every day,
hmm
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So,
I just have to say something real quick before
yeah,
we just
yeah,
on a physical and how we talk about how we've been hijacked by the Dark Cabal
yeah,
and how they're constantly showing us in the physical, like dangling in front of our faces, the truth, right? Like the way they do it in like a physical way.
yeah.
The Oval Office and all these, the all these offices that are shaped like a woman, and then they've got
The
not
Vesica
the
Pisces.
pinnacles, yeah, but then also right
Yeah.
lined up with it is the Washington Monument. What are they called?
Right. The
It's
phallus and the
the
Vesica
phallus,
Pisces.
yes. So
Yeah.
it's like it's right in front of our faces all the time. Obviously, it's they're depicting it as buildings, but
It's always there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always
How you
there.
create. Yeah.
I'm
Okay. I
getting
mean,
a
not.
I'm getting a phone call, but that's not
Okay.
affecting the video, is it?
No.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead. I
Oh
just had
no,
to, it
it's
just popped in my head like, wow, it's these buildings everywhere and all these cities connected to government. Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up because there's a lot of visuals online about
Mm
that.
hmm. Mm
Have you seen them? If you look up the phrase Vesica Pisces,
hmm. Uh-huh.
and yeah, you'll see all of that. You see, look up Vesica Pisces in government buildings, and you're going to see a ton of imagery around that.
Yeah. So they
Yeah.
know.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Obviously. They just don't want us to know. But Aaron and
Yes.
Solomon are telling us today. So, haha.
It's so cool. It's so cool. Um, well, so then my next question was getting back to like how you create your day, how you walk through your day. You know how people say, well, are our lives predestined or is it free will? And the answer is sort of in between because this is something that I've always wondered like if I just want to be living out the divine blueprint of my oversoul, my higher self, etc., then did I create all this ahead of time? Or am I creating from a blank slate every day? Do I wake up every morning and just create my day from a blank slate? And I think what I asked him, I said, do I create from a blank slate every day, or do we just live out a path of probabilities that were pre chosen by our higher selves?
Mhm.
Now, notice how there's already error in my question because the words pre chosen invite the concept of time, linear time.
Mhm.
And that's not how things are actually operating. So he has to kind of clarify things for me. And his answer was you create knowing yourself. And I keep getting phone calls. I have to send to voicemail. There we go. Um, you create knowing yourself. Knowing yourself is his word for you. You bring yourself into manifestation. He says you create knowing yourself as your energy dictates. I was like, oh, okay. What that means is every given day, if I'm in a really pissed off, contracted state,
Mhm.
I'm not going to create the most easy day.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it? If you're not afraid of the future, impediments to abundance coming to you is, oh, wait, 2 minutes. Abundance coming to you is eliminated or something. I don't know. That's just a
Yeah.
quote that popped in my head that you said or he said, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, um, fear is constantly minimizing one's experience. And,
Hmm.
the experience I have, or stress of any kind, like this morning, I was having a super cool, flowy morning until I looked at the clock and realized, oh, I got to get on with you really quick. And I started rushing. The
Hmm.
minute I started rushing, I started dropping things. I dropped a
Yeah.
glass, and I'm like, oh, yep, get back into the present moment, breathe. Like the universe is always giving you signs of when you are stepping out of the flow state.
Hmm.
The parking spot you wanted isn't there. Um, stress increases challenge in every little aspect of the day.
Yeah.
But breathing and staying in the present moment seems to just open up flow. Oh, there was the parking space I needed. There was the money I needed. Everything I was looking for my cell phone. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Versus when you're stressed, it takes you 10 minutes to find your cell phone.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. I know exactly what you mean. Yes.
Yeah. 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 And so,
Yeah.
so he continues to go with that theme and he says, if your frequency is knowing or aligning with your quantum divine blueprint, you will express your quantum divine blueprint. And then he says, but if your frequency is not energetically justified means energetically aligned. So if your frequency is not aligned to your divine blueprint, and he says, then your life is overly difficult. And he chooses his words very carefully. He didn't
Hmm.
say your life gets stressful because stress is just a part of life. He said overly difficult,
Yeah.
implying we make life harder on ourselves. Like we do that.
Yeah.
when we're not in alignment with our divine blueprint?
Yes.
How
And the
do we?
system doesn't help either. The system's constantly spewing fear and stress and
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so then I said, well, so how so? Do you mean that life just gets more stressful, more difficult? And he says, yes, when your frequency is not justified. Remember, justified to him means energetically aligned.
Hmm.
When your frequency is not justified to your divine blueprint, your quantum energy is pinned, that means energetically anchored into, pinned to feelings in lower frequencies. So low frequency feelings would be stress, anger, fear, anything fear based,
Hmm.
like stress.
Yeah.
And then my final question to him for you, was, well, then how do you get aligned with your divine blueprint? And the answer just comes back to be in the open heart. It's just this super simple cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love
And
it.
I could have talked to him, for your audience all night long. And I just thought, okay, well, I got to stop right there and just let you, you know,
Yeah.
ask me, we could go a million different directions with this conversation because his statements then create more questions, you know.
Yes. But you feel it in your bones. Like my bones were ringing the whole time. Like,
Yeah.
yes, yes. But I think a lot of people just have trouble, like, how do I get there on like a daily basis? Um, but the number one thing is stay out of stress. Don't turn on your TV, people, first of all.
Yeah.
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 And I anticipated this next question that everybody has is, okay, well, how do I do this? Because my life is just naturally stressful. I mean, you have people, especially people who are trying to be successful according to the rules of the false matrix. They're driven, they're motivated, they're constantly looking busy. Therefore, they're always stressed and they haven't gotten enough sleep and they've got adrenal fatigue and whatever. And they're like, well, I'm just trying to be successful the way I was told. Work hard, go to work for 8 hours a day, do everything. Be a good girl, be a good boy, right?
Hmm.
And I thought that what I would share is the first step for practicing this grace into flow state is to choose a day of the week when you feel like you are most sovereign, you have the least amount of other people controlling you. And so if that's the weekend for you, when you're not, like, if you have a corporate job and you're always under some sort of manager or boss who's telling you what to do, maybe choose your weekend. And for some people, weekends are just crammed. They're way too busy. That's when they catch up on everything else. They're doing the laundry and they're running to Costco and they're running the kids to soccer practice. And sometimes people's weekends can be more hardcore than their weekdays.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not suggesting that the weekend is the perfect day to do it, but maybe it is your Tuesdays or something when you feel as though you've got the least oversight from someone telling you what to do at your job.
Yeah.
Or it's a day when you have the least amount of meetings on your schedule or whatever. And just practice when you get up in the morning, don't do that thing where people look at their to-do list for the day and then plan it and then judge themselves based on how productive their day was.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
is, the push for work ethic and productivity is literally the antichrist in my mind because
Yeah.
it's killing us all.
Hmm.
And it's ass
Yeah.
backwards compared to how the divine meant for us to live in this way in which we generate our experience through grace rather
Yes.
than productivity.
Right. No one's on their deathbed saying they wish they worked more.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Productivity is the success point of a slave, not a true human.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, get up in your day and instead of looking at your to-do list, glance at your list and go, because Bashar, he's another, have you ever seen Bashar get channeled? He
Yeah.
always says, decide what you're going to do next based on your highest excitement.
Okay.
Yeah. And Solomon's version of that is joy is your compass.
Okay.
So, you would look at what you intended to do that for that day and just go, where am I feeling most drawn? What feels the most fun? and grown-ups don't ask themselves that question enough.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we, we
Very
do not.
rarely.
Yeah,
What can I do next? What can I get done now? What can I get out of the
yeah.
way? Right?
In
Yeah.
fact, yeah, what can I get out of the way? A lot of people are like, let me do the hardest thing first and save the fun stuff for last, because I really hate everything that I've got on my list to do today. So it's more like this really is a muscle we have to learn, because as grown-ups, most of us have totally forgotten how to sense what feels good, fun, and joyful.
Yeah.
We have a very strong muscle for what feels accomplished and productive. And
Hmm.
at a girl, you did what you were supposed to do today,
Yeah.
and then you get your paycheck and you were like, oh, that was anticlimactic.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And you're unhappy. Yeah.
Yeah, I worked
Yeah.
so hard, but oh, okay, at least I have this paycheck.
Right.
Yeah, so you sit with your day and you go, what am I feeling really moved to do? And sometimes it's go back to bed,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
maybe
Yes.
it's, oh, I just really want to lay down and start this day over. Okay, well, go lay down.
Yep.
Maybe you need a nervous system reset. Maybe you need to just calm yourself and breathe. Go lay down. Don't
Hmm.
feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
even if it's in the middle of the day.
Right. Oh no. Yes, are you, what's wrong? Are you sick? Are you okay? I could just like hear my mother.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's,
Yeah.
it's just like flow. And then what you find when you let that happen, and sometimes it could be, oh my God, I am actually so excited to get out and rake the leaves in the yard. That feels fun to me today, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like oftentimes you'll find that what does bring you a sense of joy
Hmm.
is actually a form of productivity. But when you come at it at the right time in your day,
Yeah.
it almost always works out better. Like you'd be like, I don't think I want to go rake the leaves until later this afternoon. Oh, okay, give myself permission to put that off.
Yeah.
And it's not about being lazy. It's about allowing the day to unfold in a more natural way,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
And things tend to work out too when you do that. Like you wait to go rake the leaves, right? And then you run into that friend you've been missing and you're like, oh, hey, how are you? And because you just happen to be out there in the afternoon instead of the morning, you met her and
Yes.
then, oh, we're going out to dinner tomorrow night. And how awesome is that? Which wouldn't have happened if you'd have pushed yourself to rake the leaves in the morning, right? So,
Oh, man,
yeah.
you make such a good point, that
Yeah.
that's how I've connected to my neighbors, my friends, and my family, was when I let myself follow the flow of the day.
Hmm.
And something was like, oh, had I not walked outside at just that time, I wouldn't have met that person. And there's also like opportunities to serve really show up. Like
Yeah.
I decided to walk outside at just that moment, and I noticed this person crying on the corner, and I walked up and said, how can I help? And it just opened up this beautiful opportunity for me to generate abundance into their life,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then it always happens vice versa. I decided just at that moment to go to the store. It didn't it didn't fit with my productivity task list, but I followed a hunch, and
Yeah.
I'm just going to go to the store now. And you walk into the store and you see someone that you really needed to see, and then they become the one who hands you the next tip on a job that you actually really want, or whatever. Like that is how the universe works, is when we're in flow state. But when we're in a stressed out state or a contracted state, we almost always miss the opportunities.
You're so rushed. You're not even looking at anybody. You're just like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And that
yeah.
goes into, I mean, we're winding down here, which this was amazing. Thank you so much. But something you talk about, and I highly recommend everybody go check out your YouTube channel, Sister Solomon, right?
Solomon's
Solomon's
sister.
sister.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, Solomon's sister. But that's something you talk about. What we're talking about right here is community is also a big part of this too.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
absolutely. It's
yeah,
essential.
yeah,
Yeah, that was the first thing Solomon taught me, was like, I know you want money. Let's first have you notice what's truly important.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's when he said, okay, we're going to break her leg. And I broke my leg and immediately had to rely on community to get me through the summer. And I was like, oh, now I know where great wealth really comes from.
Yeah.
Is the people in our lives.
Yeah, it's real. And this is what we're moving into, correct? And you've said we are in it. We are in, yes, it's the end of the world, but all we'll lose is age, right? we're
Yeah.
moving into a new age and we're
The
in it
new earth is
already.
now. Yeah, the
North
new
is
earth
now.
is now. And
Yep.
you can have your awareness in the old earth or your awareness in the new earth, just like that. And you can
Mm-hmm.
switch in and out through the day, just as I mean, it's almost like here's the best thing I could say to like to button this up.
Mm-hmm.
The open heart is your portal into the new earth. And stress is your portal back to the old matrix. And you can just weave in and out of them all day long.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Eryn, thank you so much. This was
Oh,
amazing. We appreciate you. I hope to have you back. I feel like I'm definitely going to have you back. And thank you so much. And thank you to Solomon. Thank you.
absolutely. You are just an absolute delight. And I love the
Oh,
service you're doing in the world. Thank you, Jen. I
oh,
appreciate it.
thank you. Appreciate you too. All right. Bye,
Okay.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye.